Welcome to this Honda Civic Type R. Now first things first, this is my personal car. I bought it, and this is why this review is gonna be very long, comprehensive, and maybe more critical than it should be. But bear with me, I want to talk about all the bad and the good things about this car. So a little bit of history of the Type R. First there was the EP3, a small feisty little hatchback. Everybody who drove it loved it. It had exceptionally good handling, although options and tech stuff was bare minimum. It handled like a dream. Then came the FN2, or as we know it, the fat one basically. It had almost the same amount of horsepower as the previous generation. It wasn't slow, but it wasn't fast either. It was a bit fat, And also the FN2 kinda looked weird. It had its UFO looks. Some liked it, some hated it. I actually owned a FN2 Type R, so I quite liked how they designed it. But my car also had a front LSD differ. It had a bit more horsepower due to the Honda upgrade, and it had a better exhaust. So maybe I'm partial to that. But I actually quite like that car. Now this car here is the FK2, introduced back in 2015. It was very controversial because this is the first Type R that has a turbocharged engine. A 2-liter engine producing 228 kilowatts or roughly 310 horsepower. And as the engine compartment was weird for Honda, so were the looks. It was loud and outlandish. Just look at the bumpers, the red stripe in the front, the wing in the back, those bucket seats. Now as we are on the outside, let's talk about the details on the outside. First of all, you get full LED headlights, although high beam is halogen, and many of the users swapped the bulbs to xenon or LED. Mine has sort of a tintish blue halogen. It doesn't really do that much, but it surely does look better. You have red accents all around the car, in the front bumper for example. You also get the red Brembo calipers. As you can tell, these are my winter wheels. Yeah, the red stripe continues on the back here. And there is the big wing. Oh, look, a dog. Is there an owner somewhere? Surely hope so. Now Honda offered these cars in a variety of paint jobs. This is the brilliant sporty blue. There also was a red one, a white one, a grey one, a black one, and the most popular one, the white Type R. And you can see why most people chose white, because, well, why wouldn't you? Black wheels, black details around the car, like black wing mirrors. There is also the black wing, and also black details like the side skirts and the black bumper. So the white color really accented the darker bits really nicely. But I think the blue one is actually the best, because it just suits the car so well. So let's deal with the hatchbacky stuff first. So the back seats and seating at the back. First thing you notice, the front seats are red and the back seats are black. I'm not sure why they chose to do it black, but it feels like they wanted to save some money. To me, this isn't the place to save money because it just looks cheap. Thankfully, you still get these very nice red seatbelts. And yeah. Legroom at the back is decent. I really can't complain. I haven't driven long distances in the back of this car, but yeah, you can sit 4 adults easily and a 5th smaller one as well. Thankfully, Honda has chosen to use the black headlining. This looks very nice and it gives a sporty feeling to the car. As we climb out, you can also see some red stitching along the car. Although yes, the seats are black, but they use red stitching, so it sort of saves it. Now we turn our attention to the boot. You also have a backup camera right here. The boot opens up really easily, and there you have a quite big boot actually. I have had my mountain bike in here, I have had my mountain skis in here. You know, the seats fold flat. Actually, I should show you that they aren't like ordinary seats, you know, because they fold flat like this, which means you almost have a flat loading bed. It's great for carrying, you know, larger, heavier items. Just slide them through. Perfect. Now the way these seats fold flat actually makes another compartment down here. It's a great place to lose stuff. I'm not joking. I think I had a winter, what it is, brush or, you know, ice scraping thingy down here for a month, and I completely forgot about it and lost it. So what else on the outside? As I said, these are my winter wheels. These are 18-inch, but the standard the car comes with 19-inch, very nice looking alloys. The only problem for me is that, you know, the summer wheels just are a bit too inside the car. They don't fill the wheel arches as they should. And for a car that looks this outlandish, I think it should be standard. But many owners use spacers to bring the wheels out a bit, and that looks much better. Now, sitting at the front, this is where the business end of the Type R is. As you can see, you have these amazing bucket seats, and they are... Let me just sit inside the car. These bucket seats are the best seats I have sat in a sports car by none. Now that we're inside the car, this car has a keyless entry system. You don't have to put the key anywhere, just clutch in, brake in, check that it's in neutral, push the start button. And the car fires right up. So now that we're driving, let's talk about the car itself. Damn, this is slippery. Like, whoa. But anyway, the seating position compared to a Focus RS is near perfect. Where in the Focus RS you sit high up, in this car you just feel it's perfect. You sit down low, you feel what the car is doing at any time. The seats themselves, as I just mentioned, are almost perfect. They are well bolstered down here and in the sides as well. What the hell do you think you're doing? Okay. Now, when buying the car, I thought that one big problem would be not having heated seats. As you can tell, in Estonia we have long and very beautiful winters if we're lucky. Most of the time it's just grey and dark and, you know, awful. But as it is right now, the winter is glorious. This is a perfect winter's day, basically minus 12 degrees outside, and we have a front. Damn, this is just full of ice, isn't it? Third gear, full throttle, we're not moving anywhere. A perfect day to test a Honda Civic Type R, don't you think? This video is not about the full tarmac experience of this Type R. It's more about the details, what's there to like, what's not to like. If you want a full, you know, pedal to the metal tarmac action, it will come, but when the snow eventually goes away. Talking more about the details, the steering wheel is just the right size. I have buttons on the steering wheel that control my audio, my cruise control and my telephone. I found it that everything works as it should. It's easily laid out per basically it's from a Civic, so you know it's thought out and it just works. The rest of the interior, plastics and materials, actually better than you'd think. It's not that bad. Yes, you have, plastics in odd places, but it's not the point of this car. If it had, exceptionally nice materials, it would be more expensive, and it wouldn't be a Honda. Let's just say that. So now back to the point. I was worried that this car didn't have heated seats, and it's not a problem. Really. You don't notice it because the Alcantara material is so nice, even in the winter. It's not cold like leather, and when you sit in it, it turns warm rather quickly. So it doesn't really make a difference. For example, you're driving a leather seated car, you turn on the heated seat. The first, let's say, 5 minutes, when the weather outside is minus 10 degrees, it's gonna be cold either way. So it really isn't a problem for me and for most people, I think. Yes, the new digital dashboards are great in newer cars, but most of them screwed it up in some way or another. So analog displays, thank you, I'll have them. I have to compare this layout with the newer FK8, and I really think I prefer what Honda did with the FK2. I like the layout, I like the speed camera. Hello, speed camera. I really don't like the way Honda designed the FK8's layout. I think this ring design looks more pretty, and it's easier to read. As for the screen and the digital pieces around here, you have two screens. I like one of them, and that's that one. It's small, it's useful, it tells you everything you want to know. Basically, you can change like this. It's telling me my speed, my engine information, my clock, what I'm listening to, my range, and if you push the plus R button, the car changes, but I'm gonna talk about that later on. But this display shows you all the information you could ask for: your boost, your water temperature, your oil temperature, your oil pressure. If you swipe around, you can have your lap timer and your throttle position and everything you could ask for, really. So this screen up here I really like, but this screen here, well, it's just horrible. It's the worst screen I've used in a long time, and it shouldn't be in a car from 2015. Come on, Honda, what the? It's just awful to use. The navigation, see, it's not even responding. The navigation is Garmin. It looks so outdated, it's so old and laggy, and it's impossible to use it as a navigation system. Yes, it has Bluetooth connectivity, but then again, it's bugging all the time. I had a software update at Honda, and they told me the system sucks. It basically doesn't work as it should. It gets confused all the time. It's slow to respond. Yes, you can add your favorites. See how slow it is? You can add your favorites down here. I have just one number because I don't use it a lot. Under information or info, you have your fuel consumption and etc. But the buttons are so small, and again, 5 times out of 10 it just lags. It just doesn't work as it should. Frankly, I think if it wasn't for the backup camera, I preferred this car not to have a screen at all. And the buttons on the side, yes, you have one big menu button where, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to use this one. Anyway, you have this one big home button you can use to get home from wherever you are, and under that you have volume buttons. Come on, why do you use volume buttons? They are impossible to hit while you're driving. change the system, please. Okay, my rant about the screen is now over. Basically what I think the theme of this car is everything driver orientated is amazing, and everything secondary is like, we don't bother, we didn't really care about it, it's just okay. And now we come to the driving part. Man, this car feels good. Yes, it's winter, so I can't really, show it to you, but trust me, this car handles. It handles like a dream. I've been to the track with this car for 2 separate occasions, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The gears are slick, they are short throw. The gear selector, it's metal, it feels quality. When you use it, you get the feedback you want. The pedals are metal. The clutch feels fairly light, I'd say, but it feels strong, like it could take a punishment. Throttle positioning could not be better. I can heel and toe with this car, no problem whatsoever. Damn, this is slippery. Yep. As you saw, maybe my car is running on non-studded winter tires. They are great tires, but they are non-studded, which means on a icy surface like this, I am basically a deer on ice. As we talked about the gear knob, I have to point out that as it is metal, be prepared in colder mornings. It doesn't even have to be winter. You will have to wear gloves. It's so freaking cold. You can't use the knob, properly, let's say first 5 minutes when driving the car. You just have to warm it up because it is like an ice ball. It really is. We haven't really gotten to the main attraction of this car. As we have been driving it, I would call it a Honda Civic Type. I would call it the Honda Civic Type because it isn't an R currently. To get the full Type R experience, you have to push this red +R button. Everything changes. If you keep your gas pedal and your foot where it is and you push this button, the car will lurch forward because the throttle positioning and the torque is set up so if you have the +R button on, it will have more torque lower on. The throttle is much sharper. As most of you know, you get 30% stiffer dampers, steering gets harder, and you have no use of the traction control, and the stability control stays on a bit to maybe, help you out if you really get in trouble, but most of the time you don't really need to, turn the traction control fully off at the track, etc. It's a perfect system that lets you slide a bit, but doesn't let you crash. And one thing I especially like is the red dials. How nice do they look? I'm not sure if you can see them. Maybe like this. Can you see the dials now? Anyway, the car feels much more sportier like this. And to the people and critics saying it's too stiff, you can't drive it on the road, it's unusable. Come on, it's a sports car, it should be stiff. I chose to do this review in this type of weather to show you can drive this car all year round. Just put some winter tires on it, and actually if it had studded winter tires, it would be even better. But as it is right now, the front LSD. Okay, this is a bad example because this road is fully iced up, but anyway, this car isn't actually that bad as a winter car. The LSD limited slip differential makes a hell of a difference. You can use this car in the snow and it will not get stuck as easily as you'd think. Compared to the regular Civic, if you use it in not plus R mode, it's calm. It's every day. You can use this car to go to your shops, to your everyday runs, and the fuel consumption isn't actually that bad. If I can finally get the infotainment to work, see what I mean? It just does not bloody work. During this drive, this review, yes, I have been driving, roughly 50 to 80 kilometers an hour and not really thrashing it, but this is the real world usage. If you're driving a long distance, you're not gonna go thrashing along in second or third gears all the time, and it's using 7.1. In the city, yes, you get, maybe 10, 11, something like that if you're not thrashing it. Let's see, history of trip A. If I get the screen to work. Come on, work now. Thank you. It's going down, it's 6.9 now. I'm guessing if you really use this car slowly, you could get 6, maybe, even. It's ridiculous how economical this car is if you want it to be. When I first bought the car, I think I didn't like the exhaust note because it's not poppy and bangy and it doesn't fart like a Focus RS or a Megane RS or stuff like that. But I'm in 5th gear right now and I'm gonna floor it. Listen to it. I hope you heard it, but it's like a blow-off sound on older Subarus and stuff like that. It's amazing, really. And if you're driving the car, in warmer weather, pull your windows down, you can really hear the turbos spool up and do their job. But the exhaust note, I think it should be a bit louder and, throatier. And another thing I like, the sound isn't enhanced. Not one bit. You don't get fake sound pumped through the speakers. It's all natural. It's all natural. I really can't drive this car as it should be driven. But yeah, I love the way this car drives. How it feels. You just want to go through the gears all day long. You just want to change the gears and rev match. So what about the competitors? I have driven most of them. The Hyundai 30N feels bland on the interior and it isn't as fast as this car. The Focus RS might be the best choice in the hot hatch market right now, but it's a lot more expensive currently, and that's why I bought this car. I really had a tough choice between the Focus RS and the Civic Type R, but since when I was buying the car, the Type R was roughly 8,000 to 10,000 euros cheaper than the RS, and also the insurance is so much cheaper on Type R. I don't know why, because it is a similarly, powered car. It's a hot hatch. It should be a high risk insurer, but the truth is, if I look at the figures, currently I'm paying 50 euros for my full comprehensive insurance. In Estonia it's called Kasko, and if I look at the same prices for a Focus RS, now hold on to your hats, because I got a quote that was roughly twice. So the Megane RS, I also drove it a few months back. I like the exhaust sound. I like the way it looks, and especially in yellow or orange. And the interior wasn't bad either. But choosing between a Type R and the Megane RS, It's really tough to say, but I think I'd give it to Type R. I just feel that I'm more engaged in this car, and I feel it's more, driver orientated, a race orientated car. The Megane was a bit softer, not by much, but a bit, and just enough for me to choose the Type R if they are similarly priced. Now, talking about the Golf and the Leon, Cupra, well, again, very decent cars, but they are well underpowered. If you want a similar horsepower amount, you have to get the Golf R, which is 4-wheel drive, which is a lot more expensive. Again, for my car, there is no, secret here. I paid 21,000 euros, and if I'm gonna sell the car, I hope I'm not gonna lose that much, but I am willing to make that sacrifice. The Cupra, well, it's getting a bit old, isn't it? I mean, the newer refresh, yes, the digital dashboard, etc. I like it, but it's expensive. I've had so many Cupras. I just wanted to try this car out, see what all the fuss was about, and I completely understand it. I fell in love with this car, and I wish it was, 20 degrees outside, dry tarmac, so I could show how this car really puts a smile on my face. Every time you drive this car, it makes you feel happy. Even with all the flaws this car has, I love it, and I would recommend buying it to everyone who likes to drive. This is like the 911 GT3 RS in the hot hatch market, and the GTI is like a regular 911 Carrera 2S. Okay, I have rambled along so much, and I think I've covered everything. That was my long review of my own Civic Type R. Hope you liked it. Subscribe, let me know what you think. There will be new videos coming soon. So yeah, see you again, guys. Bye.